Welcome to the Lion's Den. I think this is the best way to greet our panelists, who, with the exception of one, if I'm not mistaken, represent a more traditional approach towards finances and money. We have a central banker, Olgi. We have an investor, Aleš. Jakub, who is a money theorist. And the only crypto-anarchist among us, Jan. And my name is Maria Staškevič. I'm not Pavel Luptak, as you can see on the slide. We don't have such technology that would allow us to change gender that easily. I represent the Czech FinTech Association, and I have the pleasure to host the debate on the future of money. So most of us are not freedom seekers in the sense, as was mentioned by Paul Rosenberg in his novel, A Lodging for the Wayfaring Men Who Aim to Create an Alternative Society, a book that probably most of you know, and book that was recommended to me by Pavel when we were discussing the content of the panel. Contrary to crypto-anarchists, most of us want to use technology to change a malfunctioning financial system in a more incremental way. A system that most of us, and I think this is something that connects us, we perceive the system as being broken. The panel is meant more or less as a combat, and as every cultivated combat, it has to have some rules. So the rules are the following. In the first part of the fight, each of the panelists will flex their muscles, telling us their way of how they perceive the current financial system and money being transformed by technologies. Also adding their imagined, the way they would like the technologies to change the system. The second part will be devoted to, or will be a fight over two approaches towards money, because I guess we all can agree that if anything is to be perceived, that money will be digitalized, and the two approaches are towards money is digital currency and the question who will issue it, whether this will be a central bank or any public institution, or on the contrary, alternative institutions, or maybe the system will be decentralized. And in the final round, I will invite each and every one of you to fight, to join the panelists in a total combat. So, Olgi, your colleague, vice governor of the Czech National Bank, recently in an interview mentioned that unless something changes and happens, he does not think the financial system will change. Do you think that the financial system, as we know right now, serves its purpose? And do you think the technologies and new currencies as appear will not change it at all?
Okay, so once again, good afternoon. I'm a representative of the central banker, so I'm expected probably to defend the fiat money or the legal tender. So please don't insult me, okay, if my views may somehow contradict to your perception of the future of the money. Let me start with one important, I think, observation. Our financial system is based on the central bank money. It means that there is an institution here called the central bank, and this institution is responsible for managing the legal tender. Actually, I realize that you violate the Czech law because the Czech koruna are not accepted here, so I have to ask. I have to ask whether we can do something about it or not. Okay, so this is the first point, and I would like to stress one important thing. The central bank money has a very long evolution, and it is the same as in animal world. Okay, the evolution selects the strong animals, and at the same time the weak animals disappear. So the history of the central bank money sometimes goes back to 16th century, even more. There is, for example, a very important history in the United States, so-called free banking, the system without the central bank, where each bank was allowed to issue its money there, and of course it created a lot of chaos. The people had to calculate a different exchange rate between different monies of different commercial banks from different states, different districts. There were 2 attempts to create the central bank, and for populist reason all these attempts failed. But after big ups and downs, chaos and havoc in financial system, which of course had some impact on the weakness of the US economy, at the beginning of 19th century, the Federal Reserve System was established. So the free banking is really a very nice and instructive episode what our financial system can look like if we don't have one single institution responsible for some legal tender. If I switch to the current situation, I think that our world is one way more dangerous and at the same time more safer. What I mean by that? It is more dangerous because if we look around the universe of cryptocurrencies, almost everybody can issue its own money. Okay? Everybody who is experienced in computing and have some good background can try to issue the money. I think there is around 1,000 cryptocurrencies just now, so they are competing among themselves. So the potential for chaos, if I compare this situation with a free banking episode in the United States, is quite big. But at the same time, we are in a very comfortable situation that those who are not interested in this jungle sometimes, okay, who will win or who will be defeated, they have the option. They have the option to resort to the central bank money, which is, you have to probably agree with me, more or less safer. Of course, we have episodes of higher inflation. Recently, we have an episode of deflation. So problems are always with us, some problems. But the track record, I think, is quite successful. So I'm not afraid. I think I welcome that the central bank money have a strong competitor. So it's up to you, okay, to provide to the society, to other people, whether you are the alternative. Okay, whether really central bankers should be threatened and terrified that they will lose job, okay, as a result of this. For time being, okay, I'm not persuaded that cryptocurrencies are serious competitors of central bank money. So let me mention some reasons. The first one is the volatility. One key function of money is a store of value. Okay, so households should trust that if they have 1 unit of account, that in, let's say, 1 year time, 2 year times, the purchasing power of the money will not be eroded by high inflation or by frauds or like that. So, for example, compare the situation of Bitcoin. Okay, recently the price of the Bitcoin reached almost $5,000. Okay, then we saw a dramatic decline. So this is the most volatile asset, I think, today. So this is a very serious handicap in the competition with the central bank money. So the first supposition is to make the money more stable. The second point, I'm really astonished about the environmental cost of the Bitcoin. Is it really true that as far as the number of transactions, the Bitcoin, let's say, serves the need of some city, let's say my wife is from Hořice, but from Hořice spod Krkonoší, okay? So this is a medium city, and I was told that as far as the number of transactions, the Bitcoin can serve, let's say, this small city. But as far as the consumption of electronic energy, it is like a Belgium. Is it really true? I was really fascinating that so much energy is wasted for powering and cooling computers of miners. Okay, and we live in a period where the environmental thinking is arising. Okay, so I'm wondering how this dilemma can be solved, and I think it's really important. And of course, there are some other minor issues. I'm not expert in cryptocurrencies. I have to admit that I read only one book, okay, about it, and some articles. So I'm layman in this area. But nevertheless, I think that I captured some problems, okay, how the cryptocurrencies cannot be exception from the rule that we should fight the criminal activity, yes, tax evasion. So everything will be regulated which somehow tries to misuse some system for this activity. And the anonymity, of course, of cryptocurrencies is wonderful, I have to admit it, but it cannot serve these purposes. Yes, it will be definitely, there will be raised some regulation, okay, to avoid it. And there are some other issues. For example, let's say if I do a mistake and I send my money to a wrong account, so I can claim, and the banking system will arrange that my money will turn back. Is this something possible, let's say, in Bitcoin? Yes, if I agree with the transaction, so my money is away, and even though but I have to admit that really I'm not a big, okay, the brain, okay, in this area. So this is my intervention. I think that I didn't disappoint your expectation, okay, that I try to raise some arguments, okay, into this debate. I'm looking forward for the fight, okay, with my colleagues. Maybe I will be shaken, okay. I cannot I cannot say that it cannot happen in this interesting debate.
I think that you were blasphemous enough because I saw. I saw Jakub smiling when you were using all the arguments, all the three arguments of the energy consumption, anonymity, and the volatility of cryptocurrencies. But just one question to what you've said. I mentioned at the beginning that your colleague, the Vice Governor Hampel, said that the central banks, as long as they do their jobs right, they won't be. There is no chance that they will be that their position will be attacked by cryptocurrencies. Do you think the current financial system, as is regulated and overseen by central banks and other institutions, of course, as well, does the right job?
I'm sorry that my English is not so good that I can translate one saying from the Bible. Okay, maybe Maria can help me. How would you translate? Ať první hodí kamenem, kdo je bez viny.
Okay, Maria.
Who is the person who is without fault has the right to shoot the first stone?
So it means
I guess we need
my understanding is everybody do its mistake. Okay, so even bankers from time to time. So,
could you be more specific?
Okay, so even we have frauds in the bank. Okay, sometimes the central banks are under pressure of the government, okay, to finance government expenditure, and as a result, the inflation is rising. Therefore, I think the important step in the history of the central bank is the divorce, okay, the Chinese wall between the government and the central bank. So as a central banker, we are independent. And this is a very new phenomenon. It was very difficult for some countries to accept the idea that some non-voted technocrats, okay, can decide about such important policy as monetary policy is it, for example, in France or United Kingdom. So the independence of the central bank is relatively new. So I think that we try to learn, okay, from the messages. We have different monetary regimes, okay, but these are technical details. But I would like to say that the most important thing is not whether we do mistakes, okay? The more important thing, what is the alternative? Okay, what is the alternative to the system which sometimes commits some mistakes? Okay, and my perception is that even if I take into account that from time to time the central bankers also may commit some problems, the system we can learn, okay, there is an evolution, and the system is still the best one according to the alternatives.
Mm-hmm. I cannot do anything but else but ask Jan to present and to convince Oldřich that there is an alternative. The future of money, as you perceive it, is not only the NFC chip that you bear in your body, but you, as a crypto anarchist, you definitely have a plan to abolish central banks. Could you enlighten us how you would do that?
Yeah, I'm going to disappoint you immediately. I don't have a plan. I'm not a central planner. I just want to have an environment where we can freely develop the society that we want to achieve. And I'm not going to tell you how to do it. You will have to go and figure it out. But I can tell you what I think about the current financial system. I think that it's fundamentally broken. It serves only a small percentage of our society. Repeatedly in the history of humanity, the people who are in charge of money have failed. They will always fail if they have the possibility to control the monetary system. And I think it's because of how the system is set up. Oldřich was talking about the free banking history in the USA. And when someone is using arguments from the history before the internet, I always say that it's really hard to compare what was then and what is now, because it's the same with governments. I usually say that the central banks and the governments and all these central authorities, they served their purpose when conveying information throughout society was much more expensive, much slower, and so on. Then these central authorities brought a certain level of efficiency. But nowadays, when we have the internet, we can convey this information on really a flat hierarchy, basically no hierarchy, peer-to-peer. And we can build much better system of money on top of the internet, which has no way for anyone to control it centrally. So if there is no way how to abuse the power because no one has the power, then we avoid all those failings that happened in history. I think that money should be permissionless and censorship resistant, so that no one can tell you what to do with your money or prevent you from doing what you want with your money. It should protect your privacy, because privacy is safety. It's not about hiding something because you did something wrong. It's because you are trying to protect yourself. And it should be much more secure than the current monetary system.
Well, this looks like a vision that I guess everyone would subscribe to, but how do you want to achieve that?
Public key cryptography. That's one of the technologies.
Well, you have probably one of the best person to address about the change of the system, and I guess for you to convince him, you would.
Yeah, that's the idea about cryptocurrencies. I don't have to convince anyone, because I don't care about the political way of changing things. I think that we are free to use whatever we want. And thank you. And I don't think that it's possible to change the world by telling people what to do. They have to do it themselves. I don't think there will be one single currency, for example, Bitcoin or any other currency, and everyone will be using it, because there will be no one to force everyone to use one currency. There will always be a competition of a few currencies, probably not so many, at least not so many of the currencies that are used in real life, because it's efficient to have only few currencies. But there will be more than one, and they will compete among themselves to provide the best money for the people so that they want to use it. And it's not so much of a problem to have multiple currencies in the age of cryptocurrencies, because we have technologies like cross-atomic chain swaps. We have decentralized cryptocurrency exchanges, and these technologies together can do the exchange rate calculation and trading and everything live during the transactions. We already have centralized services for this, like Shapeshift. And nowadays, if I have, I don't know, Litecoin, you use Bitcoin, I can pay you immediately, and I don't care that you don't use Litecoin.
Well, I guess all the words that you just throw at us, at least those who come from the more traditional part of the society, they don't really resonate. You can either coerce someone to follow you, or you can choose the power of attraction. But for a layman, those terms and names that you were mentioning, they mean nothing. So how would you? I know that you don't like the word plan, but still, I'm trying to get to get an answer from you. How you would attract the system to change?
It's the same as if you were asking people in I don't know 80s if they want to use the internet and stop buying newspaper and stop sending physical letters, because they can just hop into the command line and write their email, use their modem to send it over the internet. Well, back then the technology was hard to use. It was really new, but we built more layers on top of the internet layer, and it became much more user-friendly. And the same thing is happening with cryptocurrencies. We can already see it with the level of innovation that's happening. And I'm quite confident that in a few years, it will be really easy to use. I think even now it's almost as easy as using internet banking or something like that.
Well, easy it is probably, but not so widespread that I can get everything I want using the cryptocurrencies.
Well, the use is on the rise. The volatility, which Oldrich mentioned, is decreasing. If you look at the history of volatility of Bitcoin, it's much lower than a few years ago, and it actually isn't the most volatile asset in the world. Even some cryptocurrencies are shittier than Bitcoin. Just look at Venezuela. I don't know if you call that a good store of value, the Venezuelan currency. So once people realize that Bitcoin became a higher quality currency than some of the government issued currencies, they will start using it because it pays off to use it. And in some countries, they already reached the level where it became much better to use cryptocurrencies instead of government currencies.
Thank you. So we had Oldrich who proposes incremental change of a centralized system. We have an opposing view of cryptocurrencies. Now I would like to ask Jakub about a term I heard him mentioning in one lecture, which is the term helicopter money. And in a nutshell, as far as I understood it, helicopter money is a way to build an alternative money system. And it says whenever money is issued, it should be distributed to everyone. For a layman, it may sound like now we want to distribute unconditional universal income to anyone. So I'm really wondering how you see and how you would like to see the future of money using that term.
Okay, good afternoon, and thank you for having me. I am a money theorist, I'm a technician, but at the same time I proudly admit that I like alternative currencies and I am a supporter of crypto anarchy too. Helicopter money basically means distributing money directly to the people. So the money goes not through the commercial banks, but they go to the people. It doesn't mean necessarily alternative currency or alternative monetary approach. In the time of the crisis, in order to fight the crisis, to boost the aggregate demand or to stimulate the GDP, the government can just give money to the people by raising indebtedness. And it's nothing alternative, it's not really something new. Also, the universal basic income is a fiscal issue. It's a way of redistribution. You just collect taxes, you steal money from the people, and you give it to other people, or to all the people. And it might be a good idea, maybe not, maybe yes. I've read some studies on that topic, and if you want to pay the universal basic income from the taxes, it doesn't actually work. Not now. The taxes would have to be higher. Maybe there's some mistakes in the calculation, maybe the velocity of money would go up, and maybe you could finance it from taxes, but that is not the thing I would like to speak about. The other option is that the newly created money goes directly to the people. And this is a solution proposed by Thomas Meyer, a former CEO of Deutsche Bank. And he said that today, how money is created, or according to the endogenous theory of money, commercial banks issue new money by increasing their balance sheets. So they react on the demand of businesses, of firms, and individuals who take credit, mortgages, and like that, new money come into existence, created in the commercial banks. They are limited, perhaps, by reserves. They need to get some money from the central banks to do that, some monies from the central bank. But again, the power of the central bank to influence the money supply, the power to influence or to perform the monetary policy is limited by that, because in fact the central banks usually accommodate. They always provide the needed reserves, and the commercial bank needs to get the reserves in advance. So this is a shaky system that we live in right now. It's very flexible, and might be broken. It's still existing. It has been there for decades, much longer than most of the monetary systems in the last century. So it's not super bad, but it's flawed just like any other system, and maybe there might be alternatives. So if with every dollar that we create, we also create $1 in debt, we need to repay the debts, we need to repay the credits, and then the money is destroyed. So it's like a bubble. You're putting air into the bubble, and then it goes backwards. So what if instead we, or the central bank or any other authority, create the money and distribute it directly to the people? So instead of the middle, we can avoid the middleman. We can avoid the pressure, the downside pressure that's destroying the money, and maybe such a system could work as well. And the distribution of money would be equal. Everybody will get just the same proportion. Or we can avoid the central authority, and we can use cryptocurrency to do the same thing. So without the central authority, the money distribution can be also, or the new issue of the money can go directly to the users, to the people. There are some technical difficulties with that, but I've participated several projects trying to overcome them, and I think technologically this is possible. So it might be a community project, not driven by any regulator. We can see.
So if I understand correctly, in the future that you propose, the money is being created by a community of users.
Yes, exactly. Well, every cryptocurrency is created by a community of users. Some of the cryptocurrencies are pre-mined, so there are no miners, and the money supply is fixed. But again, everyone can create money. The hard thing, the trick is to persuade the others to accept it, to use it. So you need the community you need to persuade your community that the money has value, and you don't have armed force to do that. That's what
So
Paul
how
Krugman
do
said.
it without the force?
Paul Krugman said, not seriously, that the US dollar is backed by men with arms, by an army. Bitcoin is not, so why should it have any value? But the market proves that it has a value much higher than, $1.
Let's change the topic a little bit, Aleš. Apart from being an investor into a fund managed by an algorithm, you quite often bring unusual ideas to the political and economic establishments. Recently, you co-authored an article where you laid the arguments for establishing a blockchain republic. Is then blockchain the future of money, as you see it?
Thank you, guys. So before I answer this question, let me say just only two points. First, this one, it's 100 Czech crown, yeah? It's a banknote. I can show it here because we are not in parallelní polis, we are in La Fabrica. So this is a medium of exchange. It's a medium of exchange. It's only medium of exchange. It's like a standard. It's a standard. So banknote, medium of exchange. It's a standard for the price. So I can buy 2 beers for this, for this piece of paper. No, I can. I bet that the next week I can buy here 2 beers. You will see.
Are you
we are in
threatening?
theater. We are in theater. I was there. Yeah? So I can buy 2 beers here, not in Paralinipolis. For somebody, it's a piece of shit, definitely. Yeah, but still, it's a medium of exchange. There were many kinds of medium of exchange in history. For example, stones, yeah, like skin from animal, or shells. So in the future, there will be something else than this paper, something else, definitely. Does anybody remember what was the medium of exchange during the war in Yugoslavia? What was the medium of exchange? Gasoline and cigarettes, definitely. So maybe in the future, cigarettes will be medium of exchange, or Bitcoin, or something else. So definitely there will be something new, or maybe something from Mars, yeah, some piece of rock from Mars, or lithium, or something else. So that's the first key point. Second, what is interesting is a system of payment. So let's skip the debate about the store of value, yeah? But for me it's a medium of exchange and system of payment. And this is everything is about decentralization and centralization. Centralization is central bank, I like all three, yeah? It's a centralization, and decentralization is blockchain. So for me, if you know the history of human and our history, sometimes we like period of decentralization, like Sex Pistols, yeah, and something like that, and sometimes we like period of centralization. So I think that in the future, blockchain can be the future. Yeah? So I do not believe that the Bitcoin will be the future, but system of payment and blockchain can be the future, and it can be something like the third moment of decentralization in our history. First moment is democracy or anarchism, yeah, something else than the queen and king. Second moment is can be the internet, and third, blockchain. And that's why I like the blockchain, and that's why we wrote with Honza. Honza, where's Honza? Oh, right now he doesn't know me. Okay, so that's why we wrote an article that blockchain can be the future. For example, for the car registry in the Czech Republic, yeah? Let's create some startup project, small project, and let's create car registry using blockchain technology. That's it.
So I think the only thing we can agree is that
Only thing?
as far as understood all four speakers, the only thing we can definitely agree on is that the trend is incremental digitalization of currencies. Are we on the same page on that? Good. So the second main question of the debate is if the future of currency, of money, is digital. The second question is then who will issue the money? And here we arrive at the next part of our debate. Who should be the money issuer? Should central banks, inspired by cryptocurrencies, issue their own national digital currency, or will the cryptocurrencies have the power to circumvent the system and make it obsolete? Oldřich, now I would like to come back to you and ask your colleagues from this time from the Bank of England have been testing and simulating the introduction of a national digital currency, and they came to several positive outcomes, including a rise of the GDP. Also, one of the benefits would be getting rid of intermediaries, because then the national bank would be the only one who could more efficiently implement monetary policy, and the national bank would not need financial intermediaries like it does right now, as we heard that banks are actually those commercial banks are actually those that print and produce new money. Do you see a place for cryptocurrencies in the current system of central and commercial banks? Because most of them, they are not even allowing for a cryptocurrency exchange.
I'm sorry that I didn't read the study, okay, you mentioned, of the Bank of England, but I read another interesting book, yes, the author was Rogov, and it was The Curse of Cash, okay, and there is actually the paradox. The paradox means that we are in a digitalized age, okay? We speak about the cryptocurrencies, digital currencies, electronic currencies, but the cash in the the circulation is rising. Okay, if you see the graphs about the cash in the United States, in the Eurozone, of course, in the Czech Republic, the utilization of cash is on the rise. Okay, there is absolutely no trend towards limiting the cash. So this is a puzzle. Okay, and of course the puzzle may have several explanations. Okay, the author of the book is persuaded that the reason is that cash is used for trafficking and criminal activities. So he would like abolish all high denominations. Actually, for example, we could see that the European Central Bank stopped putting into circulation 500 euro banknote. Okay, so this is one important thing. We in the Czech National Bank would be happy, okay, if the demand for cash is declining, because now we are in precisely the time that we have to decide whether we should modernize our system of machines for handling the cash. And this is extremely big investment, okay? But our working assumption is that the cash will rise at least by 1% per year. Okay, so this is the matter of fact. Despite all debates that we are heading to cashless economy and that cryptocurrencies will domain our universe. So this is one point I would like to stress. You mentioned the digital currency in the hands of the central banks. Yes, you are right. There is another problem that we exactly don't know. What do we mean by central bank digital currencies? One point is, it was already mentioned, one possibility is that each household or each citizen may have account in the central bank. It is the one possibility. Today, it is the privilege only of the employees of the Czech National Bank. Okay, so if we allow the citizens to open the account in the central bank, okay, it's a kind of digital currency because it's an electronic currency that could be used for payment and so on. But of course, at the same time, I can list a number of drawbacks or problems we should save. I think you mentioned how the today's system works and that the money is created by credit expansions. Okay, the banks are extending credits and it means that the money is rising. But of course, the credit is extremely risky activity. And the banks are specialized how to handle the credit extension. Does it mean that the central bank should be involved in credit expansion as well, okay, by issuing the money? It's a big problem. If the central bank starts to issue the digital currency, it means that the banking sector will be deprived of primary deposits, the most stable part of banking liabilities. Should we undermine the stability of the banking sector, that we will compete with the banking sector for primary deposits? Big issue, okay, unresolved so far. Another point is helicopter money. Okay, nice idea. I wonder why no politicians, okay, raise this issue before the election. It would be a wonderful social benefit, okay, to get free of charge, okay, some monetary amount. Of course, the dark side is that it's a big blow for the balance sheet for the central bank. Okay, it would create quite a big loss. So the question is, should government compensate the central bank for this loss? Is it compatible, let's say, with our membership in monetary union when there, as I said, is a Chinese wall between the government and the central bank, and the helicopter money is a kind of social benefit. So does it mean that the central bank is doing something which the Ministry of Social Affairs should do? Are we violating the independence and the law of monetary financing of the central bank? So my point is, okay, let me conclude. There are bright ideas how to improve the current system, but we should not forget about the dark side, about the problems. Many problems are unresolved, and that should be taken seriously.
So from what you're saying, I don't see the chance of seeing a digital Czech crown anytime soon. However, we might be surprised by an experiment that is currently being prepared in Japan, where several banks, with the support of Japanese central bank, came up with the project of J-coin, which is a national digital currency that should be operational at the times of the Olympic Games. So maybe this will be another inspiration for also for the Czech National Bank.
May I add one?
Of course.
Okay, I'm not aware about this J-coin, but probably you know that a couple of, let's say, weeks ago, a news circulated that the Estonia, okay, is preparing the S-coin, but I can say seriously that it is a rumor. Okay, it is a lie. The project of S-coin is a completely private project. It has nothing to do with the Estonian government or the Estonian central bank. I'm not sure whether the G-coin is the same rumor or not, frankly speaking. I'm not aware, but I think there is a lot of debate in the central bank community about the future, how to exploit this potential, but we are debating. Okay, we are still debating without any concrete recommendations.
Jakub, you were nodding when Oldřich mentioned that national digital currencies are fake or are not feasible to be introduced. You, as someone who is analyzing the money theory, how do you perceive the fight between, or the debate between alternative cryptocurrencies and national digital currencies?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I'm not just a theorist, I also invest my money into the altcoins. So I need to think twice and think harder what to do about it. And I've studied this situation since 2013 when the first altcoins emerged. And some of them claim that they are national currencies and they will help the national economies. An example can be Aurora coin in Iceland. So Iceland is a country in a financial trouble, let's say, they had a crisis and they thought that the Aurora coin can help to solve that. But all such projects were a scam, I would say. First thing, as you said, there are rumors that the government is somehow involved, and usually they are not, and they are pump and dump schemes. So the price goes up in the beginning and then the coin goes down because it has no real value, it has no real meaning. Then governments or central banks like the ECB together with the Bank of Japan, they are, or commercial banks, they are trying to play with the blockchain technology. And as Ali said, well, we don't like Bitcoin, but we like the blockchain technology. The blockchain technology is great, but the blockchain technology itself is a very expensive fund if you don't know how to utilize that, if you don't know how to use that. And it's powerful usually when it is community driven. If it is driven by a central authority, then it has no meaning to use the blockchain, or the meaning is very limited. And I think that the first country to ever speak about having a currency on the blockchain was Ecuador. Ecuador has no national currency. They use the US dollar because their fiat currency bankrupt basically, and people stopped using that. And in the end it showed out that they're just speaking about a virtual currency, meaning a currency similar to M-Pesa or Amazon coin or something like that. It's not a cryptocurrency. It doesn't use the blockchain ledger. It's just a centralized database, even though it's digital and it has no cash form. So what I recommend to invest in or to really think about are the currencies, cryptocurrencies, which are community driven but supported by some officials in the governments. That might help to establish the currency. An example could be NEM in Japan, it can be NEO in China, or Waves in Russia.
So, Oldrich, you mentioned that, quite surprisingly to me, there is a rising interest in cash. Cryptocurrencies, at least most of them, they are based on pseudonymous, not quite actually anonymous systems. Jakub, Jan, how would you sustain the anonymity that many of us who use cash would like to see in cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, thank you for the question. First, let me get back to what Oldrich said about the cash being on rise. Well, that's not surprising at all, because if you don't take the cryptocurrencies in account and you look at national currencies and you have a choice, you use cash, which is anonymous, it's permissionless. If you hide it well, no one can take it from you. It's still bad that it's affected by the monetary policy, but it has some good properties. And the other alternative is that you will have only digital currency, which is always surveilled by the government. They can see how much you have, they can see what you buy, they can see where you get your money, they can take your money away, they can forbid you they can forbid you from sending your money away, and so on. So that's kind of easy choice that cash is better. It's maybe a little bit less convenient, but the benefits are much higher. In cryptocurrencies, we already have a few of them that are called true digital cash, for example, Monero. And as you said, Bitcoin is not anonymous, it's pseudonymous. And if you want to preserve the level of anonymity that cash provides you with, you need to take some additional steps, which are not so easy for casual users. But there are services being developed for Bitcoin to become more anonymous and thus fungible, because fungibility is something that's connected with the anonymity of the digital currency. Fungibility basically means that each Bitcoin is the same. But because Bitcoin transactions are public, as probably most of you know, then Bitcoins that were connected to, for example, crime, can have lower value because some people might refuse to accept them. If the currency is fungible, like Monero, then this problem doesn't exist, because there is no history associated with each coin or part of the money. So we already have currencies that behave the same way as cash, and those currencies that don't have these properties are at least in the process of getting new services which provide them with these properties.
Mm-hmm. Another, and I think we will have to quit in a couple of minutes, and before I open the floor to questions from the audience, I would like to address another question to Jan, because why cryptocurrencies are not widely used, because there is no third party that guarantees that when anything goes wrong with a transaction, that protects the customer. Could you give just one example of customer protection within cryptocurrencies?
Well, the thing is that the cryptocurrencies are a base layer. You can build on top of them. You could even build similar institutions as you have with the current financial system. You can build them on top of Bitcoin. Then you can get guarantees. You can get insured deposits and things like that. But the whole idea is that everything that you have to pay in the current financial system, that you have to pay for it, it's opt-in cryptocurrencies. You don't have to. No one can force you to use them. So if you want a bank that will guarantee your deposits and take care of you and sometimes steal your money, then you can. But you don't have to. And there are not many consumer protections in Bitcoin, maybe because people don't want them. But I can think of at least one benefit of cryptocurrencies compared to the traditional government-issued currencies. If I lose my wallet, like my phone or Trezor or something like that, I can go home or somewhere else, I don't know, where I hide my backup of my cryptocurrency wallets. I can take it out, I can recover my money, and I didn't lose anything except for the device. If I lose my wallet with cash, I lose everything, and I cannot recover it anyway. And it's kind of unfair to compare government-issued digital currencies with cryptocurrencies, because their properties are not the same, as I said in the previous questions. You have to compare cash and digital currencies, the cryptocurrencies.
Fine.
It's good to know that your backup codes are at your home. Yeah. So thank you for this. No, but
You're welcome.
I think this discussion can be simple, because hey, right now, let's start from Monday. Ask your boss to pay your salary in Bitcoins, and then you can fluently just change your money from Czech koruna or US dollar to crypto something, yeah, and revolution will be done. And it's simple.
Everyone in Parallel Polis is paid in cryptocurrencies.
It's good. Yeah, just ask more and more people, and then the world will be decentralized. And that's it. All discussion is over.
Final question. If you were to describe the future of money in one sentence, would it be, Aleš? Yes. Make a conclusion.
It's up to the people. If they choose Bitcoin, it will be Bitcoin. If they choose stone, it will be stone. I don't know. If they choose herd, it will be love.
Oldřich?
I believe in evolution. Okay, if the cryptocurrencies are really strong, if there is a powerful engine, and if they will oust the central bank money, okay, I wouldn't protest. But I'm personally persuaded that it'll be a very hard fight for the currencies to outperform the central bank money.
Jakub?
In the future, people will not use just one single currency, but they will use more currencies for specialized functions.
Good. Yeah.
Taxation is theft. No, on serious note, I think autonomy and freedom is the future.
Good. Now, if we... Yes, I will collect a couple of questions if there are any from the audience. You wanted to ask the man in the black t-shirt.
I just wanted you to repeat what you said at the end.
You mean the taxation is theft?
No.
No, I said autonomy and freedom is the future.
Do we have any other questions? You have the one and only chance to ask a member of the Czech National Bank.
Yes, I don't know this question. Who is it for? But I'm a businessman. I work in show business somewhere else. But I would like to move to crypto, and I would like to know what's next for the legislative, and what do you think is going to be? You said it's really easy. Ask your boss to pay. I would like to pay the people in crypto, but I earn 99% of my money in euro, and I actually am in the taxation system right now, somehow connected, and I would like to pay everything in crypto, but I need to do the transfer and to not pay, not just lose money. If I pay something in crypto, I cannot put it in my accounts. So what do you think would be the way, or what are the next steps if I want to do that? If you have any ideas, like I'm asking for advice as a businessman who makes business in euro and would like to do it in crypto, maybe.
Just find an accountant who is able to work with cryptocurrencies. There are people like that. The question that, or the fact that you said that you don't have cryptocurrencies, but you would love to pay your employees in cryptocurrencies. The easiest way to get cryptocurrency is to accept it for your work. You don't have to buy it. You just have to offer your services for cryptocurrencies. And that's it. Just start gradually, and you will see if it works or not.
And let's hope you find some employees.
And also, you don't need to ever get to touch the Bitcoin. You can just pay with euros, and then the receiver of the payment will get the Bitcoin using a service of a third party. So there are services doing just like that. So that I think in the future, people will use different currencies without needing to know about that, and they will just accept the currencies that they prefer.
And also some from the officials. Okay, so from the legal point of view, the cryptocurrencies are not the money. Okay, they are treated as commodity, which means that they are not regulated. If for some reason the cryptocurrencies will spread and become more popular, I can sure that they will be regulated. Okay, so this is a trade-off. Okay, from the amount of all transactions, the market with cryptocurrencies is a marginal. Okay, that's why the attention to this segment is quite small. But on the European level, of course, we have commissions for everything. Okay, there is also some working group which analyze the situation, tries to analyze the trend, and so far the perception is that there is no need for some regulatory initiative to regulate this market.
Thank you for the very interesting discussion. I would like to know one issue on the crypto, because on the transaction and all those things are very clear. We always know the central costs, we never know the decentralized costs, yeah? Meaning so kind of we know that the national money supply for the Czech National Bank is expensive, but how the costs are for each individual user, bid offer spread, for example, on cryptocurrencies is extremely wide. But my question is, how do ordinary people get credit in crypto? Because if you have a family, if you want to buy your home, you need credit to get your accommodation. How does that work in crypto?
I leave it to you, Jan, Jakub.
There's a difference between credit, which is accompanied with money creation, and credit in loanable funds. Loanable funds means that no new money is created. You just need to borrow it from somebody who already earned the money, and it is possible even in crypto. I think so. And the other thing is that I don't think that the cryptocurrencies will completely replace the existing fiat currencies. I don't think that. I think that both of the systems will coexist and they will merge to some extent. For instance, the Lightning Network is something which comes basically from the fiat world or from the normal double entry bookkeeping system, and it's now affecting the future of Bitcoin. And at the same time, the blockchain technology will be more and more used by the government. So the world won't be black or white. I think that there will be more options, and also there's place for credit. There's always place for credit, but in the fiat world, we can barely distinguish between money and money substitute. There is nothing like the primary issue of money, actually, because the reserves created by central banks, they react on the fiduciary issue. So I think that there will be fiduciary issue, credit issue, even in cryptocurrencies in the future, and there already is. There already is. Basically, there are assets which are denominated in Bitcoin and just accounting stuff.
I remember the story from the Hungary 15 years ago. There were big interest rates on mortgages in Hungary, 15% and more. So people ask for different money, different currency. Yeah? They ask for the mortgage in Swiss franc. So I can imagine the situation in the future. There will be big interest rates on mortgages because of the inflation, because of something. And people will ask banks for mortgage in Bitcoin or something else. And that's the demand which can change it, yeah? Change how we think about this, and make pressure to the bank to offer mortgage in something else than in Czech koruna or US dollar.
In Hungary, it ended very badly because, so to say, yeah, people could not afford then repay their kind of cheap interest but high exchange rate debt.
Definitely, and there will be, if the salary will stay in Czech koruna, but mortgage will be in Bitcoin, then there is problem as well with the exchange rate. Am I right?
You are right, but this is not the end of the story.
I know.
Yes, the big issue was what happened when the forint depreciated. And at that time, households and those who borrowed in foreign currency were in terrible troubles. It was a big issue for the Hungarian government, okay, because they had revenues in domestic currency and then had to repay the loan in a foreign currency. And if the exchange rate is weaker, okay, it's many enterprises defaulted. So the government had to push or insist that the central commercial banks will take part of the exchange rate losses. And of course, it's nothing. It's very similar to the Bitcoin. Okay, if you have a currency mismatch, okay, your revenues and income is in different currencies. Your situation is very fragile. You are dependent on the exchange rate movement, and it can kill you. Yes, from the economic point of view. It's not so much
about the currency itself, but the trust that we put into the currency. I would like to conclude the debate, and I think that the future, at least the near future ahead of us, is a world of multiple currencies, sort of a developmental fight among themselves, and we don't know if the strongest one will be any of the cryptocurrencies as promoted by the crypto-anarchists, or one that will be issued by the government. We'll have to see it. Thank you for joining us in the debate.